Yeah. Since Marina got the ball rolling here in the pre-recording, yeah, how's your personal challenge going there, Bodine?
It's going really, really well.
Refresh everybody what exactly you're doing for the new listeners.
So I'm doing the 75 hard challenge, which is 75 days of just a lot of different, physical challenges, dietary challenges, reading every day. Um, what else is it? Drinking a gallon of water, and what's the one I'm missing? No alcohol. That's a big one.
Reading 10 pages.
Reading 10 pages a day, no alcohol, no cheating on your diet, 2 45-minute workouts a day. One has to be outside, um, and the gallon of water. So,
Wow.
but no, I mean, to be honest, it really has not been. I mean, it's as hard. It's always as hard as you want to make it, right? So my workouts, I'm making sure are very, especially my weight workouts, are very challenging. In the morning, it's primarily the walking outside, usually with a weighted vest. Or I did this past weekend, I carried a 30-pound kettlebell for the 45 minutes.
Just around the park?
Just around the park. So the park's about 2 miles. And so just changing from one hand to the other hand, or, holding it up in like a rack position or up overhead, and just mixing it around. It's something that a couple of buddies and I were talking about. Dave, who is the owner of the gym here, he did it a little while ago with just I think a 15-pounder or something. Just, he's like, hey, it's more hard. It's more challenging than you think. So
Oh yeah.
it was but it was one of those things where the next day I felt it like the entire trunk, not terrible soreness or anything like that. It was really, really good. So I'm definitely going to do that again. It's hard to do that when I'm walking with a dog though. So Sue and I had gone on a walk that day. And so I was the goofball carrying a kettlebell by myself around the park while she had the dog.
So it's funny, that park, it's in here in St. Louis, right by it's called Crown Love Park, and it goes right down a pretty busy street. So I wonder what the one side is like. What is this idiot doing?
Well,
with
I'm walking the path, so it's hard to
so
see
you
me
get internal.
from the street.
that?
But
You're
I'm
hiding
walking
then.
I'm walking past a lot of people, and sometimes I'm one of those people that when I walk by, I always try to make eye contact, say hello,
I do too.
just kind of be friendly, right? Um, so sometimes I'm walking, I'm holding a kettlebell over my head. These people are kind of walking like with their blinders on. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, this guy is a friggin' idiot. What is going on here?
Don't fight this guy because there's something wrong with him.
I've definitely embraced being the stranger, the weirdo walking around our park. Or sometimes I'll just be like walking up and down the hills, or walking backwards up and down a hill, whatever.
Hey, it's like Phoebe from Friends when she runs around with her arms like flailing. She's like,
Right.
I don't know those people, and I may never see them again.
Right. Exactly. But no, it's been really, really good. Like everything, the challenge is being diligent about your scheduling. Um, as long as you have to take a progress picture of yourself every single day too, which I have a little tripod that I keep on the bookshelf. As soon as I walk down, I do it even before I drink my water in the morning. So that's the first thing I do in the morning. I walk down, set the tripod up, flip the camera, take a quick little selfie, and then put it down. So every day I can check that off before I leave the house, because that would be the one thing that at the end of the day I would forget if I didn't do it right away. But the other stuff is just all scheduling. So I have to make sure that I wake up extra early to get the walk in. I have to figure out some point during the day or after I get home to get the second workout in. This weekend's going to be a challenge because we're going down. Sam and I, my son, is on a mountain biking team. So we're going to a bike race this weekend that he's in. So we're camping Saturday night. So we'll be leaving Saturday morning. I'll probably try to get both of my workouts in before we leave, which means I have to wake up extra early because the workouts can't be one right after another. But then getting a second workout in, getting 2 workouts in on Sunday is going to be a challenge. So I'll have to wake up at the campsite and maybe go for a 45-minute bike ride. I'll have my bike with me, and then try to do something middle of the day while some of the team is racing, or haven't figured that out yet. I don't know the lay of the land yet as far as the campsite and everything's concerned. So
Be an awesome weekend for camping.
oh, it's going to be it's going to be gorgeous.
50s
So,
at night. That's perfect. How do
yeah.
you question? This is very golf related. When you're watching a mountain bike race, how can you see the? You just camp out on a corner like
It
Amen
depends.
corner at the Masters, or how does this work?
It depends on the layout of the park. Some of them, they have the starting line and it might be less than 100 yards, and then they go into the woods, and then they come out of the woods at another spot and it might be less than 100 yards, and that might be all that you see of them, unless you're like a marshal that's inside on the track, which I could be since I'm one of the coaches. So I could sign up to be a marshal on the inside and then see, and then it's just like, then they all just go by
Right.
and it's over. So yeah, it's not a great spectator sport. What's really cool about it is the setup. They call it the pit zone, and all the teams have their tents set up. All the kids are there, and so it's like, you know, small groups of kids go and race. They race by age group and then like skill level of each age group. So kids are racing all day long. It's almost akin to like a dance event or gymnastics or something like that, where
Swimming's another one that just takes all
right,
day.
you're there all day. Your kid, only goes around. So Sam has to go around twice. I think it's usually about 8 to 10 miles that he'll do through the woods, up and down hills. And then like the varsity, they go 4 times around typically. So yeah, it's not a great spectator sport, but the energy of the whole event is pretty awesome. I mean, the way that this organization, NICA, National Interscholastic Cycling Association, the way they run it is like a big time. It's like a big time race. I bet like it would rival like almost like an Ironman, the way that the setup is, the way you got the finish line, the start, the timers, the DJ. I mean, it's cool. Swag tents, sponsors. It's awesome.
Very cool. Where is this in Missouri? Or is it in Missouri?
It's in Warsaw, Missouri. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
about almost 3.5 hours from St. Louis.
that's not too bad. Yeah, so they've got the bibs and with the chip in them and everything, and you cross the.
They've got little trackers that on the front of their bike, their race plates, and then each team. I mean, they've got legit uniforms and everything. It's pretty sweet. In fact, I'll take a couple videos this weekend and put it in my stories on Instagram.
In my stories. So no soccer this weekend. That's a rarity.
No, he's got. They do a lot of afternoon games. So weekday afternoon games. So he's got a game this afternoon, and had one on Monday. So, all right, enough about my weekend. I want to talk about. So we sent out an email a couple of days ago that if people didn't recognize about the gold star that you got from the phone call you got from your insurance agent.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of a big deal at State Farm now. So my insurance, life insurance is coming up, and so we're re-upping it so that my wife can slowly kill me over the next 5 years and have way more money than she does now. So they come over to your house, they draw blood, height, weight, all that good stuff. And my buddy called me about a week later. So my buddy's also the insurance agent. And then so he called me and I missed it. And they texted me the next day, call me. I'm like, oh geez, what's going on here? What did they find? And he's like, hey dude, I just want to let you know, I've been doing this for 6 years. I've had close to 1,000 people go through this, and you and one other guy are the only two that have ever gotten the top rating for your for the life insurance. He's like, you are healthy as F. I'm like, I'll take it, man. If this thing can save me money, being in shape, I am all about it.
I think we need to send that email out to our family and tell them that story, because I have a few people that you'd like to rub that in their face a little bit.
No, absolutely. They still think I'm a college idiot. There's no way. There's a mistake on that blood test. Like, no, I take care of myself. Yeah. I never thought it would make me money or save me money. So that was a pretty good deal.
Save you money and make Kendra money.
Yeah, and believe you me, I've told anybody the story that will listen. So
what do you think is? I mean, obviously, you probably took that test 15 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. Probably whenever Maeve was born is when you got your
right. Yeah, probably. I guess every 10 years. I forget when it was.
And so, like, what do you attribute the huge changes over the years? And this kind of goes into everything that we talk about all the time. But I mean, obviously, this is legitimate. We talk about 18 Strong being a lifestyle and lifestyle changes and just making slow but steady incremental changes. And I mean, it looks like it has definitely played out.
Right. I think for me, well, I don't think I know it is just doing little things like little baby steps, more or less. Like it used to be, I was like every other single person, P90X, I can do it for 90 days. Number one, you can't, you're going to get hurt before you do that. Some guys, but then it's like, it's not a sustainable thing. So it's, I started, all right, let's just walk. And then I enjoy, sorry, and I enjoy lifting weights. So I just started adding little things over the years rather than trying to, lose 30 pounds in the next 90 days, whatever it is, because that is, you're starving yourself. I've done, the keto diet. Actually went 1 month on no meat, which is brutal. So I've tried everything, but everything was a quick fix. And I'm like, dude, something is not working here. Let's just do little by little by little by little. And I'm still that way. Like I told you, I'm like with the summer, like with my weight, it's typically 1 step forward, 2 steps back, like 2 steps being in the good direction. So now I'm hovering around 170, where last year after the summer, I was hovering around like 176. So now it's easier for me to get down to that 167 again, rather than trying to lose all that. And then that cycle just keeps repeating itself. And it's not, you could go faster, but me, I like to go out and have a few beers and not be perfect with my nutrition and workouts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this plays directly into kind of the email that we sent out regarding this call, and as far as like wasting time and how, we think of wasting time and, trying to get to the goal as quickly as possible. Right. But
Right.
I think what we've seen is that when you try to get to the goal as quickly as possible and you take little shortcuts, you end up wasting more time in the long run. I mean, I can't tell you how, you just said how much time you and I have both wasted, and probably everybody on this call has wasted trying to move towards one thing, but trying to do it the quickest and shortest way possible, like trying to take the easy track. And then it's like, oh shit, like then you backtrack. And if it's diet, then it's, getting off that diet was too hard, you get off the diet and you binge eat. If it's drinking,
Right.
you stop drinking for a long time or cut it back, and then you go right back to it. If it's could be golf, could be exercising, it could be doing something stupid, like a P90X or an Insanity, and then you get hurt, and now all of a sudden you're 2 months out and you're way further behind than you would have been if you would have just kind of gone the slow and steady route. And I think that, if anything, that talks to the concept of just kind of, well, it's what we talked about last week, very much so, is the concept of thinking about it more like mastery, thinking about it more like just kind of a long-term thing that you're just going to be doing forever or on a regular basis.
Right.
But then, not getting to the point where it's so huge and overwhelming that then it's like, well, shit, like I want to make $1 million. Well, that's not going to happen anytime soon. So like, oh, I'm just going to give up. It's like, well, no, if you make $100 today and then you make $101 the next day, like just kind of breaking it down then like day to day to day. But when you try these shortcuts, my mom always said, and your mom probably did too, because they have the same mom and dad. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And that sums up every fitness ad we've seen. That sums up every money-making scheme we've seen or tried. It's, like if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Just stick to the basics, do them really well, and keep on doing them.
Yeah.
And then in the long run, you won't waste time. It's the turtle in the hare. The tortoise in the hare.
Right. Oh, for sure. And so while I was talking to my buddy Ian, the insurance guy, he's like, what do you do? And I would never tell anybody because it sounds daunting, because I get up every morning and you can start there. You kind of have to build it. So like this morning I woke up, we walk the dog for 3 miles every single morning. At lunch, I'll typically just kind of walk around to clear my head a little bit. Then 3 to 5 days a week, I'll lift at dinner. And then at night, I'll either walk again with the dog or I'll go out to soccer practice and run around for a little while. Like that's not where you should start.
Right.
And I could have never done that. And it's just like as the years have progressed, I've been able to find more time to do that. And it's funny that we're having this call today. Like you and I didn't even talk about it. This is your idea, but so Kendra, after listening to Joe Rogan for all this time, like she bought a sauna. So it's like, God, when do we have time? So this was for another call, like sauna and cold plunge.
Yeah.
Like, when do I have 20 minutes just to sit in a sauna for a while and then sit in a cold plunge for 20 more minutes or whatever it is. So that's just the next iteration. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I can't wait to come over to your house and sit in your sauna.
Yeah. It's like an Amazon, you ever see like on a cold soccer day, it's like people are in their own little 1-person tent.
Like, is it like a little plastic kind of a deal?
Yeah, it's super cheap, but it's just to kind of dip our toes in the sauna water. I'm like, okay, I don't want to spend $5,000 to build a sauna in our basement that we use for a week. So yeah, well, if we can do it with using this thing, then we'll look to upgrade a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm excited for this thing to show up.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. All right, so let's kind of dig into this whole concept of wasting time, because I was reading that book that I had talked about last week, Mastery, and it, as always, as I'm reading, I start to get a lot of kind of aha moments, but start thinking through a lot of the things that we talk about, a lot of the things that we implement into our programs, into our strategies, with our golfers, with ourselves. And I started to think about like how much time, obviously we all have the same amount of time, right? And we just talked about how there's many times that we waste time trying to pursue something, but then we get kind of knocked back. Like you said, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But I was thinking about there's a couple different ways that we end up wasting time. One thing that I alluded to in the email, and you and I have had conversations about this quite a bit. And I remember we talked about after reading that Dean Graziosi book, is wasting time on your weaknesses. We've always heard you gotta find your weakness. You gotta plug the holes. You gotta fix it. And I would say that, in from a fitness standpoint, much of the stuff that we do is working on where are the weaknesses. We got to shore those up because, you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? As far as from a physical standpoint. So there are definitely times when, especially in a rehab or prehab setting, you're trying to figure out where are those weakest links and trying to shore those up. But then there are definitely things in our lives where we're weak. And sometimes you just have to figure and come to the realization that that's just not my strong suit. That's just not my personality. And for a long time, I thought that was weakness in itself. Me telling myself, oh, well, I'm not good at that. I got to work towards getting better, and then I wouldn't get better. And so what I alluded to in the email is just like organization is, like time management, really time management, organization, being a planner. Like my wife is a planner. Kendra is a planner, to the T, like having things labeled out and schedules. That just ain't me. And I've always wanted to be a very structured, organized person like that, have like the perfect desk. My buddy Dave, you walk past his office and everything is like picture perfect. Get in his car, it looks like nobody's ever driven it, kind of a thing. But I remember Dean Graziosi, he even gave an example of a guy that he was talking to, and the guy, I think he was a real estate agent or something like that. And he's like, I'll be able to sell more once I get all this stuff organized and I'll have my this and that. And he's like, dude, stop worrying about that shit. You're good at selling. Go sell houses. Find somebody else to do the organizational piece, and I think we get so hung up on the things that we're not very good at and that we struggle with, like the time management, or, it might be whatever. And let's use golf, like there's different pieces of the golf game. Like if you have a little bit of a weakness here or there, but you're a great driver of the golf ball, like celebrate that and like become the best driver at that. Now you can argue both sides of the coin here. And I think that certain times that there are times you have to work on those weaknesses, but like I know that I'm never going to be as organized as my wife or when
No
it comes,
shot.
right? So
Right.
like, okay, deal with that, figure out a way to get around it. Just like, getting things scheduled out. We'll use the emails. You and Kendra, I look when you guys open your emails up, you have no inbox. I mean, you are, and then you
I've
open
got
mine and I've got
two in my inbox.
thousands of emails in my inbox, right? We're just,
Yeah.
we're just way different that way. But as far as like, we were talking about the fitness challenge or the physical challenge that I'm doing, physical and mental. It's not that I have to have everything perfect and organized. It's just you need to prioritize. And I figured out how to prioritize things and pick the important things and then let the rest of it go. And so I think that a lot of times we end up wasting so much time on trying to fix something that maybe doesn't need to be fixed. And then, years later, months later, whatever, you realize like, oh shit, maybe I did spend way too much time trying to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Like the golf analogy or example that we always talk about is like Tiger Woods. I don't know if this is for his career, but he was like ranked for years and years, like well over 100, let's call it 125th best player out of the sand. So, you'd think, okay, Tiger Woods got to go to the sand and like perfect that. No, he's had to be adequate because he wasn't in the sand that much. And it's like
Right.
like me, with the ADHD stuff, I know I'm not good at this stuff, but I can do this stuff. And that's why Kendra and I are pretty good because she does all the organizational stuff. And then I do all the, what I call the fun stuff.
Yeah.
But she thinks all that like, oh my
But
God.
she likes that other stuff.
She does. You should see our cabinets. I said OCD yesterday. She's got a label maker. Everything's labeled. I mean, it's wonderful when I walk in there and look for stuff. But good God, I would probably still be living like a college kid if it were up to me.
Yeah. If you and I were living together, we'd be in big trouble. I say that to my kids all the time, to Sam and Grant specifically. I'm like, dude, if it was up to us to run this place, like you guys wouldn't make it to practice. You'd be eating pizza, because the cooking, the scheduling, all of that stuff is 100% my wife. So kudos to you, Sue. I know you won't listen to this.
No, she won't. You said, just have to be adequate at things, at certain things. If you're just adequate at everything, you're just going to suck at life. But finally, and it's bass backwards because they like from the time we were born or time that we went to school, it's, oh, you suck at math, go get more math. Yeah, but I really like to write. Yeah, but you're getting a C in math. Like, again, it's like, it's going against the grain. Give the kid more writing assignments. Let them go with that.
Right. All right. So there's two other avenues I want to travel down here on wasting time. So in a little bit of the same breath, we waste time on the wrong things. And I want to steer this a little bit more towards the fitness piece, the golf piece, the nutrition piece, which is really why most of us are here. Right. There's many times where we are kind of in limbo with what we want to do as far as, what our goals are, what our program should look like, what we should be practicing. And this is kind of alludes back to your conversation of just what you've done over the years that allowed you to get that phone call from your insurance agent because it was just slow and steady. Now there's, it doesn't just go linearly, right? Like progress doesn't just happen like that. There's different waves and different struggles and things that we have in there. But I want you guys to think of basically 4 things to kind of keep you to keep you on track, right? To make sure that you're not wasting time on the wrong things. And so if you think about, we'll specifically talk fitness here. You can do CrossFit, you could do P90X, you could go to the gym and just kind of wander around. But if you kind of keep these 4 things in mind, it's going to keep you way more on task. And there, number 1 is, I think, SECP, simple for the S. E would be effective or efficient. C is consistent, and P is progressive or progression. So over all of the years working with lots of golfers, working with people in the fitness world, and just, all the people that we've interacted with online, the different programs we've done, just kind of thinking, what are the most important things that have kind of come out of some of our programs and the people that have had the biggest success? Clients, myself personally, Ryan, you, people that are on this call that we've experienced and seen. And it's when you keep these four things in mind. First of all, you have to keep it very, very simple. So if we were to design a program that has, let's say it's a 4-week program, and every day you're doing a different workout. And so every day has 6 or 7 different exercises times, whatever that 28 days, that's a super complicated program, right? Or if you go to a therapist and they give you 10 different exercises and it's got rubber bands and it's got specific positions, you're not going to remember how to do those exercises. So first and foremost, you have to keep the tasks very simple for yourself. So if you're embarking on a new fitness program, you don't want to go crazy with a ton of different complicated exercises. You want it to make sure that it's simple, you can follow it, you understand it. And if you have questions, you can clarify those. So that's the first piece is making sure that it's simple, because that's going to keep you from just kind of, how did I do that again? What do I need to do? So again, you're not going to be wasting time because it's very simple to understand.
Yeah, it's a built-in complexity is a built-in excuse always. Like
Totally.
what you're describing, like a new exercise every day, sounds horrible. Number one, because you don't like this is what we do. And like I look at the name of an exercise, I'm like, I think I remember what that is. And I have to look it up on YouTube, even if it has a little icon. And then I don't know how much weight I should be using. So then it's like the first round with it is kind of wasted. Again, wasted time. Like when you start a new workout, like that first week, like what's my baseline?
Right.
So doing that every day sounds miserable.
Yeah. And we've kind of dabbled in what do we want to do, from a business standpoint of 18 Strong, like as far as workout programs for golfers. And we see people doing these like daily workouts, like new workouts every single day or new workouts every single week. And there were a couple issues with that. First of all, that's not how you and I train. So I think it'd be disingenuous to put something out like that isn't really the way that we do it ourselves, or the way that I would do it with somebody coming into the gym. That would be more a factor of, it's got to be flashy and new and keep people from getting bored kind of a thing.
Right.
But also, if you're doing a new workout every single day, doing new exercise every single day, you are going to waste a lot of time watching the videos. How am I doing that again? So it's not just that you're spending the time doing the workout, you're spending the time learning that. And then the next day you have to learn something totally new. And the next day you have to learn something totally new. And so eventually that becomes a little bit of a turnoff. That's kind of the barrier, right? Like you want to keep the barrier super low in order for you to consistently be compliant with whatever it is you're doing. It's just like if you were trying to eat really, really healthy, the easiest way to do it is keep your meals very, very simple, right? You're not
Right.
going to cook up a gourmet meal every single day. It's just too hard. It's too challenging. And you're eventually going to stop doing it. And so the same goes for any endeavor, really. To be most impactful, you have to keep it very simple.
For sure.
And then that plays right into the next piece. You have to keep it simple, but you have to make sure that what you're keeping simple is going to be effective, right? It has to be in line with what your goal is. So if I'm looking to gain 10 pounds of muscle, well, it'd be really simple to just go walk the dog every day, but that's not going to be effective, right? You have to pick something that's going to be effective. It'd be more beneficial for me to go do, 20 deadlifts over the course of 45 minutes than going to walk the dog. That'd be simple. That'd be effective. Now, is it the most effective? Probably not. So that's why I put effective and efficient. You want it to be basically think of what's the least you can do that's going to provide the most benefit. So efficient might be the better word for the E there. But
Yep,
you want to make sure that, whatever task it is, whatever item you have to check off is going to move you, is getting you towards your goal. It's going to produce some sort of desired effect, right? So simple, effective, and efficient. And then consistency. This, I think, is probably the most understated thing in the fitness world that is talked about. We constantly see the new diets, we see all, but we never hear people talk about, you just have to do this shit day after day after day. And you have to
Right.
do it when you don't want to do it. You have to do it when it gets boring. You have to do. So I just recorded an episode with Mike Boyle, which I'm going to have hopefully edited by tomorrow and should be out by Saturday morning. And it's really interesting because Mike Boyle, we talked about this last week. He talks about having, going off of a recipe for the workouts that they use for their athletes. He works with the highest level athletes, Olympic hockey players, professional hockey players, baseball players, golfers. They work with everybody, professional athletes down to high school athletes to Joe Blow and Mary Jane, right? And they pretty much all train the same for the most part.
Right.
His philosophy is, we're all athletes. We all need to get stronger. There's not really that many ways to get different people strong. We all have the same bones. We all have the same muscles. We all have similar movements. It's pretty much not rocket science. The problem is that people want variety. And he said, really what we struggle with is, he's like, we haven't figured out yet how to make 12 different variations of a split squat, because we know people need a split squat.
Right.
So that's our struggle is people are like, do we always have to keep doing the same exercises? And it's like, but those aren't the Olympic athletes asking that. Those aren't the professional athletes asking that. That's Joe Blow and Mary Jane. Do we have to do the same things? This isn't exciting. This isn't sexy. This isn't fun. It's like, yeah, but it works. And you just have to do it over and over and over and over and over again. That's why Michael Jordan used to start with chest passes at every practice, right? Like, it's just a fundamental thing. I'm sure Tiger Woods, hits X amount of putts. I mean, they start with the basics and they just keep doing. And who's the person that said, do the basic things savagely well, and that's it. But you have to do them for a long, long time. That goes back to that book of mastery, is you have to do it, and you have to celebrate it even in the days where it feels like you're not going anywhere, right? Like, just celebrate that you're doing it.
Yeah, I think there are ways to make things more fun. Right. I mean, it does get old doing split squats all the time. But still, like, I mean, whatever gets you in there. Like, I look personally, I look forward to, like, right now I'm watching The League again for like the third or fifth time. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This show is hilarious. So I do that, or whatever, like put in a podcast or do something. It's kind of wrong because nobody ever complains that they're bored sitting on their couch watching TV. Like, it's the same thing over, or it's the same thing over and over. Everybody's consistent with that. Do the same goddamn thing. Just do it while you're lifting weights for 45 minutes. So there's a way to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's variability or variety that you can build in, but not just for variety's sake, right? Like, not just to appease yourself because you're getting bored. It's when you're getting bored or you're challenged, that if you can still do it, that's when kind of that mental toughness piece comes in, that confidence comes in. And so that consistency, and you've all seen it. I mean, in all different aspects of your life, I'm sure business wise, many of you have experienced this, that, you just do things that are required of you day to day to day. It's just that in certain areas of our lives, we find it harder to do those KPIs, the key performance indicators, the things that just need to be done every single day. So it's the consistency. And then the last piece is just, the P is progression. You have to, and I just saw that Randy mentioned something about measuring.
Right,
you have to be able to see that you're making progress as well. And if you're not making progress, you could be totally moving in the wrong direction. You'll go back to if you're walking, but you're trying to gain muscle and that's all you're doing, like that's just not going to happen. And if you keep walking, you're an idiot because you haven't had the awareness to see whether you're progressing or not. You're not measuring. And that's a very simple way to look at it. But even as far as the workouts are concerned, if you're continually changing everything up and changing everything up, you can never really compare to what you did the day before or the week before. That's where it's so important to track in one way, shape, or form what you're doing. If walking is your thing, like, okay, are you walking further in your 45 minutes this week than you did last week? Or did you try a new route that had some more hills? Did you do something different there? If you're doing a strength training program and you are doing split squats, did you do 25-pound dumbbells last week and you're doing 40-pound dumbbells this week? Where are the ways that you can be seeing progression? That's exactly what in that fitness program that are the 75 hard challenges, they make you take a picture every day and they call it a progress picture. And it's from day to day, you don't see anything. But I bet if I looked at my picture from this morning to my picture 22 days ago, it's night and day. And my picture from today to my picture on day 75 is going to be way different, right? But when you look from 1 day or 2 days, you don't see that. But you have to be aware of that progression in anything that you're doing, just like golf, just like soccer, just like your diet, your nutrition, whatever it is. So simple, effective, or efficient, let's say efficient, simple, efficient, consistent, and progressive or progression.
Progression. Yeah, that's what Randy said. Back to your last point there is that you can't measure what you can't manage. It's kind of the rest of that piece that he said. And it's funny because so Kenner's mom and dad are leaving their they're moving into a new place next month. So Kenner came back yesterday with all these pictures, and a bunch of them were from our vacation to Gulf Shores, Alabama, when we were, good God, in our mid-20s, mid to 20.
Probably 18, 19 years ago.
Yeah, they were
Maybe
actually
longer than that.
Yeah, they were actually like pictures, like you could pick them up.
Oh,
And here's how spoiled we are. Like I picked up one of them and I couldn't see in the back, and I tried to like do the thing like on my screen where you blow
You
it
try
up.
to open it.
Yeah, I tried to do that. I'm like, oh Jesus. But you and I look better now, which I think is awesome. Like,
100%.
I think you've been in way better shape than I have throughout your life, but even you kind of still had the little puffy face back then.
Oh yeah. When I look at pictures of my wedding and everything, it's like, chubby cheeks and less gray beard, but no, I mean, totally. I honestly think that I am, we've all got our aches and pains and issues and things like that. But I think that I am in probably better shape, not game shape, but I'm definitely in better shape than I was playing collegiate soccer, for sure.
I believe it. Yeah. I mean, you're right. Your cardio is not where it was, but your overall fitness is. Just think if you added cardio to where you are now, you'd be how much better you would have been as a player.
Oh, I know. We say that a lot. That if we knew now, or if we knew then what we know now, just as far as training wise and everything, and it goes for any sport too.
Right.
But we didn't do any training. And it's funny because I still see, like, even with my son's soccer team, the high school team, and even the varsity team, like, I don't believe they implement any kind of fitness into these kids' regimen. And so I might even sit and have a chat with Coach Bob, who we know very well, just about like why is nobody doing anything like that for these high level teams? Because they're doing the same thing that we did 20 years ago. Like they just go and they run and they play, but they don't implement any of the strength training stuff. And I know for a fact that had I been introduced to more of the performance-based strength training than the meathead, try to look good on the beach strength training back in high school.
Right.
I would have been so much stronger, faster, healthier, injury preventative kind of stuff. So But
Yeah, I'm with you. So so out at where Murphy plays and they play, they have a PTC, so Performance Training Center. So before one practice a week, they'll go over there and kind of do like some speed stuff, and they'll actually show them how to do. I think they're working a lot of leg stuff.
good.
But it's just interesting. And again, Murphy is 12 years old. So we are at my mom and dad's house last night, and he was trying to show me how to do what was he doing, like a Bulgarian squat, or
Yeah,
what the heck was he doing?
split squat, one leg up on the back.
He's just doing like a regular squat, but his back was all rounded because he did too much weight, because he's trying to prick wave a little in front of me and my dad. But yeah, the fact that they're introducing that at such a good age at some places, I think, is a huge step forward.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Um, so I want to challenge everybody on this call, because I think that we all kind of get this, and this is a little bit of a philosophical thing that we've been talking about a little bit lately, and I've been talking about with a guy in the gym here, is, none of us on this call are high school athletes. None of us are, collegiate level athletes. None of us are spring chickens. I mean, we're all to the point where, and I think much of society does this, getting a little older. I'm willing to kind of like let things go a little bit. I'm not willing to push myself. And I was talking to a buddy of mine who's doing a great job of getting himself back in shape. He's has been very overweight over the last several years. And he's like, you know what? I'm not subscribing to that shit anymore, that I have to hit the ball not as far, and that, my back needs to hurt, and that I have to be, he's runs a pretty successful business, but he's very busy with it. He's like, I'm not falling into that trap anymore, that I have to be like overweight and stressed out all the time. Like, fuck that. So he's been getting in here on a regular basis during the week. He's been sticking to his program. But again, he's been following all four of these pieces here. Like, he's not trying to overdo it. He's making sure that what he's doing, we put together a program for him. So he's making sure that everything that he's doing is very effective and efficient, fitting in within his time frame. He's doing it very consistently. He's doing his 4 days a week, and then he's tracking everything. In fact, he shares a Google Calendar with me. So the days that he does come in, we can make sure that whatever weights he does when he's working with me, we track on the sheet. And so he's doing all of these things. So I'm going to challenge every one of you, and I think probably everyone on this call is doing this at some level. But think about something that you can step up your game a little bit on this next week, this next month, even over the course of these next couple of months as we start to move into the wintertime. But implementing these pieces and thinking along those lines of kind of that mastery piece of what's something that you can do fitness wise or golf wise, or nutrition wise. We'll keep kind of in those lanes that you can do and implement into your week, your month, and do it on a consistent basis. Kind of pick a goal for yourself. You have to have some sort of a goal, some sort of an outcome that you're moving towards, but then start kind of implement these pieces to make sure that you're moving along. And I would love for you guys to let us know what those are. If you're willing to share, you could do that privately in an email to me. I would love to see it in the Facebook group if you guys are willing to do that in the Facebook group. But just to show that you're working on something, and then you have a little accountability too. You kind of all know what I'm working on right now with this challenge that I'm doing. And I'll keep you guys posted on that. I'm not doing it to post on social media about it. When we did the Forge, I wanted to make that known that we were doing the Forge. And we will continue to push that out there. But this one, I'm kind of keeping in the inner circle, keeping in the circle of trust that, I don't need to go flash around that I'm doing this big challenge. But as far as you guys are concerned, I would love to help and support you guys. And same with Ryan in doing this. So.
Yeah, I'll be the first one out there. Mine is going to be the sauna thing. Doing that I'll have to come up with some sort of schedule that I can keep. I want to do 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week, or whatever that is. And after 30 days, kind of see how I feel better about it. And then the cold plunge sounds awesome, but daunting and terrible. So I'm gonna start again, just stacking habits. I'm gonna start with the sauna and then go from there.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean the cold plunge is a step way beyond the cold shower too, right? Like
Oh yeah, that's the next level.
that's next level. So that's definitely something I could see you having an old freezer, like deep freeze out there, filling it up with some water and
Oh, I
getting that
love it.
thing going.
Just out on the deck right there.
That'd be pretty great.
Well,
In fact, Rhino,
individually,
what?
I'm ramping up to do the Forge again October 1st.
Awesome.
Ooh.
The written format works really well because I try to do it from memory the other day, just do it like a one day. And at the end of the day, the only thing I missed was the 2-minute cold shower.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't look at my sheet. Had I done that, I wouldn't have missed it. So
yeah. Well, I mean, Jim, like talking about the one that I'm doing now, like you can see, I couldn't even like process. I look at the sheet every single day, and I know that there's 6 things to check off. But like, yeah, it's not, if it's not top of mind and you don't have it right in front of you, that's why you have to put in those little checkpoints, right?
Works out great.
Have that sheet there for sure. In fact, Rhino, if you could figure out how to do it, I remember Ryan Lee, when he's on these calls, he'll like go in the Facebook group, and I think he posts a little link to have people go from the chat. So, maybe go in and see, like, maybe just type a post that says like I don't know, simple commitments or something like that, and we can edit that after. But maybe people could even click on that link right now and go in and put something if they want to.
I wonder this will
if you can figure that out while I go into this one last piece. So this one's going to get a little bit a little heady. This is going to get a little bit I don't know, philosophical is also again the word, but as far as wasting time. So, and this comes straight from George Leonard's book Mastery, but this one kind of hit me pretty good this morning when I was reading it. And he, in the email, I alluded to the fact that we can waste up to 3/4 of our day, if not 90% of our day. And what I meant by that is how much of your day, and I'm super guilty of this, how much of your day do you look at from the frame of, once I get past this, then I'll get to this. So for instance, once I get past walking the dog in the morning, I can go have my coffee. It's like it's a 40, and that might not be the greatest example. But it's a 45-minute chunk of time that I'm almost like fast forwarding my head to get past because of some other task or reward. And I would equate this to working for the weekend, right? Like think of, how many people have a 9-to-5 job, or you're in the gym or whatever, or you have appointments after appointments after appointments. Like, once I get past this appointment, I've got this, I can go sit and watch Netflix. Once I get past this, I can go hang out with my buddies. I can go have this drink. I can go, once I eat my vegetables, I can go have my dessert. And if you think of it, it's like, you're kind of like trying to rush through so many of these experiences that if you took a second, like with the walking of the dog or playing golf or whatever, if you actually take a second to embrace the moment, think about it, be grateful for it, you can actually like live that moment, not waste those 45 minutes trying to get to something else. Even, your drive, like, oh, once I've got a 3.5-hour drive on Saturday morning to go to Sam's race. The race is going to be awesome. We're going to be camping. We're going to be doing all these things. I personally don't mind driving at all. I like listening to podcasts. I like doing all these different things. Some people would say like, oh, I can't wait to get that drive over so we can get to our thing. This opportunity is, I've got 3.5 hours with my 14-year-old son that I will never get back. Right. It's an opportunity for me to take and utilize and spend it with him we used to ride back and forth to soccer practice all the time. And it was like 45 minutes to an hour. And he might be on his phone, or we'd just be listening to the radio or whatever. But we're both kind of introverted. We don't, so we can sit silent for 45 minutes and get to soccer. And I was like, that was 45 minutes that I just wasted with my son. And I'm not going to say that every time we're in the car, we now have, these titillating conversations, but I was like, let's spend this a little bit productively. So we started listening to podcasts together. We started listening to things that we could then kind of talk about, or
Very
that
cool.
we could both learn from, or that he enjoyed, so what George Leonard talks about in this book, and it gets a little bit more into that whole Zen philosophy of anything that you're doing, you can use as a bit of mastery, as a bit of getting better, as a bit of kind of testing yourself, or living a little bit more fully, right? And he said that, we talk about the flow state all the time, especially in athletics. We talk about getting in the flow state in golf. We talk about getting in the flow state with, soccer, and I can remember times playing soccer when things just like felt easy. Same with playing golf. Like there's times where you hit a shot and it just feels easy, right? You're sinking putts, and it's like, and then you kind of like reflect back and you're like, whoa, like I was kind of just in that state. I'm going to argue that most of us are in that state every single day. Every single day, especially if you're somebody that commutes to work. Because think about the tasks that it requires for you to operate an automobile driving 70 miles an hour with other automobiles that could crash and kill you all around you at the same time, especially if you're like Ryan, you're driving a stick shift. You're doing all these different tasks and you aren't thinking about shit when it comes to your driving. You're just in the flow, right?
Right.
Now, many times that's one of those situations where we're like, oh, I can't wait to get past this to get to this other thing. So even in this book, he talks about things like that, things like washing the dishes. Like sometimes you got to just kind of take a step back and like appreciate kind of the amazement of it. Don't get too, bogged down and conscious of everything that you're doing, but like appreciate some of these different moments, right? And I know this is getting a lot, kind of woo-woo and kind of heady or whatever, but as far as like how much time we just kind of like mindlessly rush through, sometimes just be in awe of what you're doing. Like, the whole idea of being in that flow state of driving was like, holy shit, like that's a very, in fact, they did a study looking at brainwave patterns and everything. And the amount of brain activity that it takes to drive a car, I forget what the route was, it was on the freeway, like in LA or something, was higher than the brainwave activity that required to, I think it was launch a NASA spacecraft. There's like they tested the astronaut, and then because of all the things that you're doing when you're weaving in and out of traffic and stopping and starting and this and that, versus what they were doing, and that might have been even landing a spacecraft. It's crazy. And we do it every single day, typically many times a day. So that's just kind of, that was one of those things that hit me like, wow, we take so much for granted. We take so much of our time for granted. And this, it goes back to, appreciating your time when you're out on the golf course, appreciating what you're doing out there, appreciating your time in the gym, appreciating the fact that you can be in the gym and that you're healthy enough to do that stuff, that you can be listening to a podcast and doing your workout and all these incredible different things that we have physical and mental abilities to do. So that just kind of a parting thought for the crew here on, how much time we have, being aware of how much time we have, and also that we're not guaranteed all of that time either, right? Like you never know what's going to happen. So being more appreciative and not trying to rush through every bit of our day to get to another part of a day.
Yeah, for sure. It's we just went to a funeral last week, and then your brain starts to think about time quite a bit. Like, what am I doing? Am I, if this is my funeral, what are people going to say? Like, I think, oh, this dude wasted a bunch of time, or he did everything with his time. But yeah, and then we, last night we had a family dinner, which is not, I wish I could say it happened every night, but Maeve didn't have practice, Murphy didn't have practice. We had nothing going on. And Kendra said like I know the chances of you just being a person are astronomical. It's like 400 million to 1.
Yeah.
And we just give so much away. I forget what you said. It's like I know what it was. If 2 million people were rolling a die at the same time and they all came up with the same number, that is the same odd, or those are the same odds as being alive on planet Earth right now.
Right. You know what's funny is I can remember being a little kid thinking about that. And yeah, like I can remember being probably about my son Grant's age, 9, and thinking, it was whenever I learned about the birds and the bees, I guess. So maybe a little bit older than that. But thinking like, okay, all of the opportunities to fertilize that egg and for that to be me, like, and like, I can remember it like literally causing my brain to freak out. Like I couldn't wrap my head around it, and still probably don't think about it enough, right? Like how crazy that is that each of us right here are just a person. And like, I was like, whoa. And I can remember as a little kid thinking, I should probably do something with this. You know, like,
let's not piss this away.
I should probably not be a POS. So anyway, I don't know. That's, but I have thought about that for years and years and years, about how I was a little kid and thinking like, man, how many other kids could have been born that aren't me? Weird. So kind of getting
million
chills as I'm thinking about it. So, all right.
Yeah.
So let's leave it on that note.
Yeah. You know what I bet it was? I bet it was the opening scene to Look Who's Talking, when all the sperm.
You know what? I bet there is something at play there. That
when they're racing to the egg.
Yeah. I have to look up what year that was that came out.
Yeah, it was right around that time.
Yeah.
Let's
That's
see.
Hilarious.
Look.
See, that's how Ryan and I's brains work. We are that close.
1989.
Because that's kind of the picture. I bet that is exactly when it happened. Because I would have been 11 years old.
Nailed it.
Yep.
All right. Hey, so I put the link to the Facebook thing in there.
In the chat.
Try it. I don't know if, again, I'm not a Facebook person, so it may not work for you.
Let's see. Yeah. See if you guys are still on the call, click on that link. If you don't mind, keep that window open. And if you're willing to post something that you want to do in the next 30 days or so, that we can kind of support you on, or even just kind of, you know, what would be cool is if you said something about, you know, the call and what you got from the call too, because I want other people to see that we had a good crowd on today. I want other people to see that, you know, there's a lot of people interacting on these calls and that we actually talk about stuff that people care about.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool. All right, man. 3:00, 3:02.
Yep. And real quick, guys, Ryan is going to be out of town next week.
That's right.
So we will not have the call next week. So we're going to be 2 weeks out.
Yep. I'll be in Jim's neck of the woods down in Austin, listening to some good music.
Weird.
Yeah.
Getting weird in Austin.
Listening to music. Yeah. So that'll be, I'm looking forward to it. Never been.
Awesome.
Yeah,
all right, guys.
Yeah. It's right up my alley.
We'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.
Take care.
Adios.
See ya.